I'm James Kirk.
I'm Michi Hoyer.
And you're watching simnews.tv.
Good evening, good afternoon, or even good morning, wherever in the world you are right now. Welcome to GPVWC with our coverage of today's Superleague Lights action. We're at Spa, we're in Belgium, and we're getting ready for what is looking to be a super good Grand Prix. Currently got one more minute of practice as we wind on into this. Gonna quickly break down the league so far. Up the top, it's Lucas Schmidt sitting ahead with a bang on 200 points, technically winning his last 5 Grand Prix. I say technically because he couldn't make it to Turkey. So unfortunately for him, that gave an opportunity for Matthew Williams and Laurent Kiersmakers to catch up a little bit, but oh boy, he made up for it with that triple on the go at Canada, Britain, and Germany. Behind him, of course, we already alluded to it. Matthew Williams, last time I was around these parts, it's been a while since I last covered GPVWC, but Matthew Williams was sitting a little bit down lower, we could say, but he's been on an absolute tear of form recently and is now sitting 58 points behind Williams. Gearsmaker's hot on his heels, 18 points behind him. Bastien Paisler sitting in 4th. A nice little form of consistency from him, bringing him lots of results, keeping it at 62 points. In 5th, you got Mark Hutchinson, was expecting a little bit more from this lad, but he is hot on the heels to get in that P4 today. Try and snatch that away from Paisler. Matthew Clip in 6th. Christian Pascal in 7th. Pedro Mora 8th. Danny Vandeny in 9th, and he's going to be an interesting watch today as he will be suffering a penalty 10 slot demotion from his qualifying, so he's going to have to hammer everything into that qualifying to try and get the best start he can. Alari Algipus in 10th, Marcin Rubicek in 11th, James Early 12th, Noah Chilia 13th, Jack Mayer 14th, Mikel Francione, and I've just butchered that name I know, sitting there 15th right now, only joining in Great Britain, but with 2 and a 4th. This could be a little late season pull away. Joining him on points is Michi Hoyer, only turning up in Spain and Turkey as coverage. But again, with a 2 and 4, has brought him a ton of points, which is interesting. Chris Butcher currently at 17th. Matt Richards 18th. Johan Lindberg 19th. And to finish out the name we all love to say as commentators in 20th, Lukialu Pekalu Lally. I'm trying. We'll get there one day. Look at Lalu. Oh, it's been a while. Now, Alex, could everyone hear you on broadcast? You got to tell me that, or is this just you giggling in my ear?
I'll turn myself up and do quali with you. Why not?
Couldn't keep him out of the commentary booth long enough, could I?
No, you never will do, Corey. You never will do. I had to do ITC last week, so I might as well do this one.
Hey, good
I might be here
stuff.
too sometime.
Oh, James is alive!
Oh, wow,
James is alive. We
Hi,
did ask him
everyone.
before and thought he's dead, but how's the updating going for you? Because James,
Oh,
it's been a
it's-
bad year of updates on our Factor 2
It's
for you, hasn't
going
it?
swell, isn't it? So just to... Hi, everyone. Great to be back, by the way. Miss Britain. Thank you so much to Lewis McGlade for filling in and doing an excellent job. What a great race as well, by the way. If you haven't seen it, be sure to check it out after the broadcast. But yeah, so to give you an update on my position, Steam is being a right so-and-so. And so I'm doing my best to enter the game. Hopefully I'll be here in time for the race. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
Otherwise, I'll let you two gents get on with it.
Looking at things so far, though, Lucas Smith looks to continue his form, guys, in first, of course, being able to be out the rest. In practice, by near enough half a second. 0.44 we're looking at here with the difference there. Are we thinking this is going to be 6th in a row for him? His, as well, for that, his 7th of the season? That'd be incredible, wouldn't it?
It would, but I wouldn't say it's certain. You know what happens in the wet in this series, especially with Lucas, and we know that his pace in the wet is slightly hindered just due to where that Cosmo Seiki Japan car is in the upgrade sort of chain of things. So we might see, especially around here, if it starts to rain, which it has been forecast to, everyone, put your rain hats on, make sure you start dancing. It might turn around. But with Martin Gosby here as well, Martin was very quick in last time out in Hockenheim, and Chris Shepherd up the front as well. It's good to see. Might have a couple of new challenges for the race win.
I think if I might just interject a little bit though as well, one of the ways that the Cosmo Seiki Japan car has been going over the year, particularly in the setup, not so much the car, but the setup, the way they drive it, as sort of like part of this ACR Zach Speed style deal. We know those guys like to go with straight line speed, and I think around Spa-Francorchamps, because of the nature of the circuit, you can go either way on setup, but more often than not, that straight line speed is going to come in pretty handy, given that there are some rather large sections of the circuit where that top line speed will give you tenths, maybe even, over some of the guys who more focus in on the middle sector, a little bit more technical. So I think that he won't be hindered so much if the rain does come down. Of course, that's completely dependent on whether he goes with the status quo of the setups that he's chosen throughout the year, rather than what he could do, which is switch it up specifically for this circuit, which wouldn't be a bad idea at all.
That's what you're saying. Like we know qualifying is going to be starting in the dry. It's currently got a lot of grey clouds out there, but if it does rain, then the lads that picked the higher downforce setup should be rewarded for it, because you're going to be able to get a lot more speed throughout those turns, and along the straights you're going to be very limited. So it's going to be an interesting one either way, and it's a strategy which no one can really predict because, of course, it all comes down to, I like to say, driver aggression, doesn't it, with overtakes? Because especially that Camel Straight, we know it's going to happen a ton of times along, but around the other options on the track, You've got to be a bit bolder around here, don't you?
You have, especially through that middle sector where that's where you're going to find the majority of the race time around here is the bravery through the middle sector, the bravery up Eau Rouge and Radion, which hooray, and everyone that was worrying yesterday through Super Cup has been fixed. The issue we had there has finally been fixed, so everyone can breathe a sigh of relief, sit down, to snuffle out the flames, put your pitchforks away. Everything's been fixed. But that middle sector, and especially the run out of Stavelot heading down towards Blanchimont, is going to be crucial here for qualifying and even the race.
Yeah,
I was going to say, are we allowed to get the "That's Radion" actually joke out again? Or
No, god damn it! Well, it's actually going to be mandatory to say tomorrow, with it being a WTF1 Grand Prix.
Possibly, yeah. I don't know the ins and outs of the
all
deal
WTF1 memes are mandatory in the
I
Super
think
League.
you're going to have to go and get permission to actually run that video at the start of the race. Like, get rid of James and Mitchie, put that on instead.
It's Radion, actually. Sim news.
Well, guys, qualifying is on the way. Lots of cars out there. At the moment, my eyes look to be on Chris Shepherd. He has actually got some wicked pace in the free practice so far. So it'd be interesting to see what he can do there in free practice. He was in second behind Lucas. So this could be a good day for him to grab some points. Because, as I said to you earlier, of course, Shepherd, I would have probably expected to be able to grab a few more points than what he's currently sitting at. But we'll see. Be interesting.
Will be indeed, especially with, we know that Chris Shepherd is extremely quick. We've seen it last year in Super League, and Spa has always been his circuit. I feel he's always been that one driver that's always been pretty quick around the Spa circuit. It'll be interesting to see what he can do today, and when we get around to the first flying laps of the day, which I believe is actually going to be one of the TR Blue Voss cars. I believe it's going to be Marcin Rybachuk, actually. He's going to be one of the first cars to do a lap. We're going to ride on board with him, actually, as he comes up through Blanchimont. We're going to ride on board for his first qualifying lap. The TR Blue Voss driver, normally teammates to Christian Pascal, but they've got Martin Gosby in the car to try and aid them in their progression to fourth in the standings. Out of the bus stop onto the DRS, gets the car over to the far left as you get ready to hit the brakes for La Source, and the rear end comes out on that car. And oh my word, that was lucky for him. So what we'll do, we'll go to Lucas Schmidt, who's coming out of the first corner. Swift transition as you head down past the support pit lane towards Eau Rouge. Clip that left curb, hit it up through the right-hander of Eau Rouge, over the curb at Radion, and let the car not run out fully. You'll lose too much time, but just hold it there as you hit the DRS down the Kemmel Straight. A long straight. Feels like forever when you're driving a GT car, so driving a Formula car feels a lot quicker around here. Through the Les Combes chicane, and then through the right-hander. Just not using as much curb there, slows these cars down. They don't like using that inside curb. As you head down the hill through the hairpin, just that car does not want to bite on the inside, so letting it run wide and cut back in always seems to help it. Through No Name, let the car run wide and keep that line as you head down towards Pouhon. Try not to, hit the brakes as you trust the car's downforce through Pouhon. It will grip, I promise you. As you come into the S section, this is always a tricky one, especially if you're offline. One of those corners where if you're slightly wide, it's going to throw you off for the next corner. Through Stavelot, let the car run out as wide as possible. Come past the Guido van der Garde zone, as I call it nowadays, after his crash there back in 2012, I believe it was. And as you now make your run down to Blanchimont, keep as tight as possible up to the run, and then just keep the car stable. Through the right-hand kink, hit the brakes as late as you dare into the bus stop chicane. Don't let the car run too wide, otherwise you'll tighten yourself too much for the exit. Hit the DRS once again, and across the line for a first lap. And obviously, because it's Lucas Schmidt, it's a pole, it's a 41.6.
Yeah, but looking at times right now here, Alex, there is a lot of room to make up. He's only got fastest time in Sector 2. Don't get me wrong, it is wickedly fast. You're looking at a fair few tenths. But, we were talking about this lap, weren't we? Martin Gosby is able to pip him by, just a mere 6/100ths. But not being able to claim a faster time in any sector himself. Lucas Schmidt needs to go out there again to be able to claim that top. But what I'm most interested to look at is Ben Horrell being able to beat out everyone else by a good, clean 1/10 and a half. Looking at other times going around, we had Mark Hutchinson being able to take sector 3 as well. So interesting little competitions in different areas, and this will be down to that difference in setup, won't it, Alex?
Yeah, for sure. Those guys running that lower downforce setup, that slipperier setup, coming through the first and final sector will be absolutely beautiful for them. But those who are optimizing that middle sector, not the stupidest of ideas, especially with the fact that you still got to contend, with plenty of slow speed traction zones and fast flowing downforce sections. And the quicker you can go through that middle sector, the better it usually is. But of course, just having a look at Chris Shepherd on his outlap at the moment as he moves out of the way for one of the, I believe it's one of the Cenobites and also one of the TTF cars, I should say, and lets an MDR go through as well. He's going to be looking, hopefully, to get up there as Matthew Williams goes second place as well, a 41.6. Only 400ths to the exact behind Martin Gosby. It's going to get a bit feisty at the front for pole, I think, Corey.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, we were looking before, Lucas Schmidt is still about 5/10 off of what he is able to do in practice, so he can put on a little bit more, I do believe, if he wants to. Again, we'll keep eyes here on Chris Shepherd. I do believe he should be the next one to try and hop into that top 5 area. He's got it in him, we know. Name that up there as well, is that Jack Mayer in P6 currently. Hello, lad. Welcome back to the top. It's been a while since I've seen him be able to absolutely knock out the park like that.
Baku it was, actually, and that was him fighting for third place with Luke Maguire, and, well, he did blooming well as well, with how Luke ended up at that race. But that MDR car has always been pretty good in a straight line. We saw it at Baku, we saw it at Turkey, it had some pretty decent straight line speed to it. So I definitely wouldn't count those guys out for, a potential good, decent finish. And, we know that Jack Mayer's pretty quick when he has a good day. And it's Chris Shepherd, 31.0 in the first sector, so not, setting the world alight, but definitely not a bad first sector either.
He was sliding about a little bit. He's definitely running a very loose setup. That could just be a preference thing, but definitely coming into Le Combs that the loosest setups can really kill those tyres, so he's got to be careful on there. And by looking at him and how he's handling this car, it seems he's probably more set up for race pace rather than quali pace. And he's going to be going for the long stint because Spa is one where it does come down to strategy heavily.
It does indeed, and this is, I think, one of the only tracks on the calendar, maybe including Monza, where the overcut can really work in your favour. This is, I think, one of the only tracks now, you can quote me on this all you like, but I believe this is one of the only tracks where the overcut actually really can come into play here. Whereas, we've seen other tracks where the undercut, especially Turkey, another high deg circuit, where that tyre wear, you spend too long on those tyres, you're a bit boned as Shepherd jumps up to 10th at 42.4 behind. Excuse me? James, am I seeing this correctly? Who's in 9th place at the moment? I'm like, what?
We know Mike Bell does like Spa as well. I can remember seeing him a few months back. It had been now when we run that for, what was it, FSR, with the GT series there. He can handle the car around here. He just got unlucky, and he knows how to get a bit of speed. He knows his racing lines around here.
I think to quote us from World GT, Corey, he was testing out the Aston Martin Vantage Rallycross car. I think it's what we said back then.
I think he slapped on about 9 different pairs of tyres. It was a lot. It just got to the point of he knew he was out the race, but wanted to go for that fastest lap.
Yeah, it was a good laugh as well.
I would want to check his ID address just to make sure.
Don't want to be, you wouldn't think it's someone else, would you, James?
I could make a Go Bankini joke here. I'll leave it be. I guess I've technically already made the joke by saying it's a great lap though. Let's give him credit. Like P9, especially around this
great lap as well is Kieran White coming into sector 3 right now. He's on a blistering fast pace. Have a little quick look at him as he will be coming up to the bus stop chicane any second now. I'm currently looking at where he should come out, and it's going to be good.
He had slipstream from Hutchinson through the first sector, just as up to the top of Eau Rouge and Radion. and then he had a... Oh my word, Kian. And obviously Kian's got that 10 place grid penalty as well, so he's looking to qualify as high as possible. And, a 41.4, that's only a 10th off Lucas Schmidt. No,
Yeah.
not even a 10th, sorry, a 100th.
Ian's actually a guy I know well. I signed him initially this year.
Yeah, you
Tried to
did,
win the
James,
prize
didn't
tag in
you?
the Super Cup. And unfortunately for him and us, I guess, it was time restraints in his personal
That's
life.
him giving off slipstream as well, right there.
Yeah, the
I
two
mean, he's a good
FSR.
talent. He's a
FSR
really good
strategy's
talent.
coming in handy here, I see.
Actually, to be fair as well, I remember in last year's FSR World Championship, he did particularly well in qualifying here at Spa. It was just a massive technical glitch / incident that saw him out of the race. So
yeah.
he has got very good pace. Watch out for him.
Yeah,
I
so let's
do remember
quickly
that
take
race.
eyes to Mark Hutchinson for the guys at home, because that is his teammate, of course, and
Purple first sector, Corey.
yeah, that's what I was
Ooh.
looking at. It shows the power of that slipstream. Just to compare it over what some of the other lads are doing it, we're talking literally tenths here just from a slipstream alone. It's crazy.
And it's funny because I haven't really seen anyone else doing it. Yeah, I haven't seen Lucas Schmidt's guys doing it. Although, that middle sector traffic just completely ruined it.
Yep, Lucas Smith as well, really mucking up the bus stop chicane, so we won't be going faster here. But he was able to get a quicker second sector. He actually does improve his speed. I don't know how after that.
Improved it by
monstrosity,
100th.
but yeah, it's nuts, but it's still that case of. It's crazy.
Hutchinson second.
How
Guys,
it's all linking up? What with that middle sector? Just a note, that middle sector from Hutchinson's, you're seeing this as well, right? 6/10 slower, but
again,
his first sector was 5/10 quicker.
That's a straight line
slipstream.
setup. That's a straight line setup and slipstream. I mean, that's kind of the balance that you got to strike at Spa. And the reason why I sort of step in now again is I've entered the room. I can talk. I see pictures.
Hallelujah! It was
So,
Mr. Kirk is here.
Mr. Kirk.
I'll go hide in my hole again, shall I?
Yeah, back in
I'll
your
go-
hole.
I'll go hide in the basement again.
To be fair, Alex Skinner is basically he's not even just a gear, he is the entire machinery making sure that this thing works. So thank you, Alex, for stepping in.
Yeah,
briefly
I'll
there.
go into my basement where I'll be locked up until, future notice. They feed me on peanuts.
If you want to chip in, then feel free to chip in, my friend. It's great to have your insight.
I might as well come join you for this one. It's Spa.
We've got 2.5 minutes left of qualifying anyway, so you might as well stick around. We've only got 2.5 minutes left, and I cannot believe that the top three are separated by a 10th. That seems so close for what is one of our longest circuits on the calendar.
Well, it's Spa, baby. It always brings up those really close qualifyings, and
Quote, that's
with
our baby.
that's Spa, baby. I've
I'll
always,
quickly
as
get
I
an
said,
eye as well on who is currently heading on out. I can see Jack Mayer's going out for another little run, because this is about the time where drivers are going to be needing to start heading out, especially if you're trying to run on a...
well, anyone leaving
like
now is only going to
slipstream.
get one chance, or
That's
maybe,
it.
well, one chance. So this is final chance saloon for everyone, and well, Mark Hutchinson not on track at the moment, but he might be out soon. Yeah, he comes out the pit lane. So the Chaos Boys going for another one. Schmidt's on circuit at the moment.
Well, this is going to be Mark Hutchinson setting up Kieran White. Look, Kieran White just coming over the line for his hot lap now. Hutchinson coming out of the pits. They have lined this up, I think, beautifully. Look at that for the slipstream. Maybe a
Racing
little too early.
racing friends in the Pro Championship of Formula Sim Racing. Very quick ones at that, always up the front. They know how to make slipstream work. So, we'll see what they can do. I'll keep on board with Kieran White as they come up through, as he comes down the back straight of the Kemmel Straight. And yeah, look at that slipstream. Look at how powerful that slipstream is here with DRS. Even with Hutchinson's DRS, Kieran was just pulling up to the back of him. It's like, it's like you've put a rope there and you're just gradually pulling on it. Although that was pretty wide there.
It was a little wide because his wheels in the sand there, which I'm slightly worried about. I tell you what, that was really smart use of DRS from Mark Hutchinson as well. People seem to forget that you can open it individually on your own if you're doing that strategy. So these guys, I mean, they clearly know what they're doing, but are they going to be able to pull it off when it comes round to this final sector? He's 0.2 off Hutchinson's best first sector set is Kean White. It's a personal best. It's not a fastest.
Interesting as well, James. Hutchinson's back to the garage.
Oh,
no.
White went too wide.
We're done.
Yeah, and I think that might be another pole position going the way of
Williams
Schmidt.
on a personal best first sector as well. We'll see what he can do. He's not got slipstream at the moment. But what I was going to mention before, I was saying Hutchinson went back to the garage. Hutchinson went out solely for the purpose of setting up Kean as well. That was interesting.
We've got Gosby lining up a lap. I see that TR Blue Boss have donned their Jaguar tribute act livery, going down to Radeon. I did that joke earlier in the broadcast, James. You can't be doing it twice. At least
they're worth more than £1, James. That's the main point we have to remember.
Very true. Damon's a nice livery as well. But Gosby, let's have a look at this first sector once he clocks it, because Gosby, as expected, has come to this championship. He's done well, and a 31.0 for his first sector is about as fast as they have gotten. Only maybe a tenth or so faster from the mad lads who've gone for straight line speed over everything, and at the corner with no name, the most ironic corner of all time, because that is its name. He gets it all wrong, and that, I was saying that might be another pole position going Lucas Schmidt's way. Gosby messing up that corner might just be the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, that will end it for him. You're talking. He's one of the lads that's got the setup mainly aimed at the. With the high downforce. So he was actually going a little bit quicker than what Schmidt could do on that straight, but the second sector, he needed a bit more from it, so it's unfortunate. Looking at there...
Hygo Poom! 8th place from the third sector slipstream towards Blanchimont from his teammate Jack Mayer. MDR caught onto the strategy, and Hygo Poom goes from P22 to P8.
I was going to say shout out to Matthew Clip as well. He was P6, a late effort from Kiersmakers up into 6th, and so that's another new livery actually for HRT. A lot more.
That is, I believe, a one-off livery for HRT. I was talking to Garrett the other day, and it's a special little livery for those guys because, well, it's the closest to the Netherlands and Holland that we're going to get this year.
Looks like the team's been sunburned, bless them. It's P6 for them, P7 for Matthew Clip. A great effort from Matthew Clip. Generally a guy who qualifies midfield, but through strategy and through consistent pace and through managing incidents well, finds himself more often than not up in the top 10. It's why he's doing so well in the championship. Great lap from Hygo Poom, though. That is particularly excellent. He's another guy who's middle of the road when it comes to qualifying, but he is there or thereabouts when it comes to point scoring. That is, I want to say, his best starting position on merit of the year, but it's also the joint best starting position of the year multiple times over for Lucas Schmidt. He will lead the field off from pole position in this light Grand Prix from the two Chaos boys of Hutchinson and White.
No, he won't, because Kean White's got a 10-place grid penalty.
Absolutely right. He will lead off on Chaos of Hutchinson, and Matthew Williams then close to Schmidt in that championship battle. He'll be P3.
Yeah, you've got to think right now, Laurent Kiersmakers is probably absolutely loving that 10-place penalty because damn in 6th, that's not where he wants to be right now. Don't get me wrong, the top 5 separated by 10th, but he's down there 3.33 behind Schmidt. Like, he's not looking like he's got the pace today here at Spa.
I'm going to reference that Turkey race that you mentioned, the one that Lucas Schmidt missed. We were talking up that opportunity as a good place for both Laurent and Matthew at the time, no less so because we didn't really take his title challenge seriously until the last couple of races when the points are adding up and all of a sudden he's second place. Laurent Kiersmakers and Matthew Williams had a chance to win that Turkey race. They didn't. And if I remember correctly, Laurent made a couple of mistakes in that race as well, which completely killed off any chance he had. It's not that Lucas Schmidt is unbeatable, but he is driving flawlessly. A Hamilton-esque performance from him so far this year, no less than we were expecting. Is he Super League material already? Some would say yes. Is he going to win the Light Belgian Grand Prix of 2019? We're going to find out in just a few. So we're going to be taking a quick break. Grab your snacks, grab your drinks. More action, an hour and a half or so of racing to come. We'll be right back.
on the racetrack. Oh, he swings left and right, didn't he? Trying to put Morris up, Morris. Oh, that was so close.
Bonjour to you all. Welcome back to our coverage for round 11 of the GPVWC Superleague Lights 2019 season edition. We're just about to enter the race. We've had 10 minutes of warm-up. We've got Lucas Schmidt on pole position. Not for the first time this year, of course. If you missed the 15 minutes of qualifying, it is pretty much status quo. The question is, Mr. Corey Dyer, of course, Alex Skinner now fully on camera, so thank you very much for your efforts, Alex. Corey, can anyone beat Lucas, or are we going to have to do a bit of praying for divine intervention from the rain gods to try and make something of this race? To be fair, every race so far this season has really given us an incredible spectacle, regardless of who is leading. But I don't know. I've got an ominous feeling that despite how close qualifying was, Lucas is just in the form of his life at the moment.
Yeah, so what we're going to be looking at, of course, is first lap performance, James. We've got Mark Hutchinson there, we've got Matthew Williams and Martin Gosby. That could try and cause an upset, of course. Kian White, unfortunately, with that 10th place grid penalty, will be moving down to, I'm trying to count it in my head, is it 12th? 13th?
13th, unless it depends what order the penalties have gone.
Yeah, because of course, naturally, it's a little bit weird because it's always done by what was awarded first, wasn't it? But nonetheless, looking at that sort of free, that gives Smith a little bit of a hand because, of course, naturally Hutchinson and White, without that penalty, could have worked together to try and pull off some incredible move through strategy and teamwork. Maybe try and actually encourage a bit of the slipstreaming going into the first straight, maybe once DRS had opened. But right now, it's looking like Hutchinson, of course, who was only, and I'm saying only, 7,000th slower during the qualifying. Looking with that straight line speed as well, which we've got to look at incredibly here, James. On that count straight, going into the comms, we could see him come out in front if all goes right for him, of course.
It's incredible to think that he missed the first 4 rounds. Well, I say missed. He didn't join the championship until the 5th round of the season. And going into today, he's already P5. He's retired from 1 race, that being Britain, 2 races ago. And he's gotten a podium with every other finish being top 10. His consistency and pace has always been there. Is today the day that he finally takes it to the very top? Alex Skinner saying he's scared. I'd understand why. Of course, Alex Skinner being a team boss of Chaos Engineering. It was funny, actually. I can't remember what race it was, but David Croft with the F1 was talking about, I don't believe in the commentator's curse. The commentator's curse is real, but I only believe that it happens during the race when you're saying this is going to happen. We'll see how things go, won't we? You know, I have already cursed you in 1 year, or in 1 race this year. I'm fully aware of that. Anyway, to the grid, and it seems dry for the moment. I would say that Lucas Schmidt going to be very happy with that particular scenario. Off and away we go then. It's not exactly a long run down to turn 1, so the drivers being urged by our race director Chris Williamson to be extra careful. It is Lucas Schmidt from Cosmos Japan. Mark Hutchinson for Chaos Engineering. Of course, you might have recognised him as ex-IDOS Motorsport. Now name transition has gone through. Martin Gosby for TR Blue Boss is P3 with Lawrence Kearsmakers up in P4 for HRT. Matt Clip is P5. I won't say that's as high as he's ever started for Squidly Clay Healy. With Chris Shepard P6 for Stax. Well, Stax had a great result last time out in Germany. We apologise that we weren't able to broadcast that. Sadly, technical issues getting in the way. But Stax with a double top 10 finish. That's as good as it's gotten all year for them. Igo Boom starts P7 for MDR. An excellent effort from him. Ivan Leonov in the middle of them, P8 for CM Tech. And I say in the middle of them because Jack Mayer, teammate to Igo Boom, starts P9. A great effort from the team overall. Marvin Ribichuk starts P10 in the other TR Blue Boss car, which interestingly enough has a different livery to Martin Gosby. Someone hasn't updated their game. Chris Butcher starts P11 for Red Arrow with Kean White, of course, after that 10-place group penalty down in P12. We'll be hoping that the Irish colours of his Chaos Engineering car give the Irishman a good bounce of luck in the first couple of laps. Matthew Williams starts P13 after qualifying P3, another grid penalty, which we actually failed to mention on that particular occasion. A shame for him, he'll be starting from the midfield. Mike Bell starts P14 in the second of the Cosmo cars, with Ben Horrell P15 leading his teammates for TTF Round Nuru. Yukapeka Lalu starts P17 in the lead of the Netrex cars, with Pedro Mora P18 in the lead of the Cenobite cars. Not a great qualifying for them at all. Johan Lindberg P19 in the second of the Staxes, and Bastian Paisler still struggling, still in and out of form, rather drastically down in P20 for HRT. Thomas, Andrew Abbey Harry Soa starts P21 for Royal Blue, with Thomas Vach in the second of the Cenobite cars. Vach, is he doing there? I have no idea. Mike Quinn starts P23 in the satellite car. I'm so sorry. The opportunity was there. I had to take it. It was there. Matt Richards starts P24 in the Drake, with Callum Roberts down in P25 in second of the Clay Geely cars. Early after a group penalty starts P26 for Royal Blue, and Vanda Neat after a group penalty starts P27. And last, the Netrex, we do have a number of cars missing. We do have a number of cars going with different tyre compounds. Richards and Roberts on the yellow soft compound tyre. James Early on the super soft red marked tyre. Van der Neat right at the back is going for ultra soft. He's sticking to the strategy which he probably would have been going for had he been at the front. Everyone seems upset by my pun. I'm ready to go.
About time. It was a long formation lap there. You're talking over 2 minutes, but they're finally getting up to their grids here, James. It's going to be an interesting one, of course, like you said earlier. Careful into turn one. We can all remember the Grand Prix last year at Spa and that eventful turn one especially. But don't expect it to be so bad. These lads have been good so far this year at GPVWC. I'm hoping this form continues, but we know La Source, oh, it's a dangerous beast up there.
This is the entirety of the first lap. A lot of interesting factors to navigate. Who will come out on top by the end of that first lap, though? A lot of punters will say Lucas Schmidt. Well, we're now just awaiting confirmation from the lights to help us and get us on our way. It has been a long time, actually, at the front for these guys. I imagine that someone's not in their grid box correctly, since they're being held for a long time. Not going to be great for tyre temps, not going to be great for engine temps either. Finally, the lights come on. Not ideal for the likes of Schmidt and Hutchinson, but let's see how they deal with it. We're off and away. We're racing in Spa, and it is a decent start out from front from Lucas Schmidt, who is unopposed going into turn one. Gosby flying on the inside, and Mark Hutchinson's already got him on exit. Great traction from the TR Blue Boss car, and look at Lauren Kearsmakers as well, going side by side. We've got to get side by side. Goodness me, around the outside of Radial. What a brilliant move to start things off from the Belgian in his home race. Excellent stuff as we head onto the Kemmel Straight, and Mark Hutchinson immediately looking to bite back from the early assault from Martin Gosby, looking to go around the outside into the first of our middle sector chicanes here, and he is close, but no cigar on this occasion. Chris Shepard with the decent start. P6 Igo Boom down to PA. Marcin Ribichuk's gained the position. Chris Butcher's gained the position. And the big loser out of all of them is Ivan Leonov, who's been jettisoned outside of the top 10.
Losing his rear wings, losing it round in Bouillon, it looked like.
Oh, and he's out.
That's unfortunate. That is him completely out.
I just heard a launching of sound from you, Corey. I'm like, oh, what's happened? And Martin Gosby's what's happened. And look at the gap that Schmidt's now got. So Hutchinson, Keersmakers now making up the top three. It's been a brilliant start for Laurent. And we were talking, weren't we, about how the likes of Keersmakers and Williams, they need to make hay. And they need to try and get mind games maybe even going with Lucas Schmidt to usurp him from this top position. He's done well, but it's still not good enough. Schmidt leading by over a second and a half as we head towards the bus stop chicane finally. Crash caused by Gosby getting on the outside entry curve into No Name, spun the car around, so it was totally driver error, to be fair. I didn't think that Hutchinson was close enough. At the end of lap one, it is Lucas Schmidt who leads. He maintains that 1.5 second gap from the aforementioned Hutchinson. Keersmakers, Clip, Shepherd, Mayer, Boom, Riverchuck, Butcher and Williams round out your top 10.
Yeah, looking at Schmidt right now, he knows the deal. He's got to keep this lead because, of course, when DRS activates after the third lap, he's going to want to be outside of it to keep that lead. We know as well that Hutchinson has the fastest straight line speed, so naturally he's got to make hay. Well,
three wide down the Keppel straight, three wide between Shepherd, Clip and Poom, who overtakes the two of them! It's Mika Hakkinen all over again! Remember the name of Hygo Poom! He's got in, and his explosion of speed has resulted in the boom of him going into... I don't know where I was going with that. He's into P7 though. Great stuff. Wait. What? Hold on. It's Jack Mayer in P4. I was getting so excited about Hygo doing it, I completely forgot that it was... So hold on. Where did Jack Mayer start? Man, he was P9.
Yeah, that's
He was
crazy.
P9 and he's up to P4 with a great move. I'm sorry for not giving you your fair due, Jack Mayer. That was a proper crofty moment. If ever I have one, getting the two drivers mixed up. But wow, what a maneuver from Jack Mayer to move his way up into P4.
Yeah, and talking about Hygo Poom though, look a little bit further back, he is under threat from Ryan Rubicek, so keep a little eye to him. That could happen very, very soon, coming down into the bus stop chicane.
Oh, watch out, Chris Shepherd though, looking on the outside of the bus stop chicane. We've got to look at the... It's definitely Mayer this time around. He defends. Oh, he goes deep! And that is brilliant awareness from Chris Shepherd. A bit of contact on exit, but Shepherd back through into P4. Hygo Poom holds on to P7. 4 now. Look at Riverchuck all over the back of that gearbox. Tries to put his nose in at the source. Oh, a bit of a snap on exit from Poom. He rescues it up though. And look at Matthew Williams. I assume in the last lap he's been let through by his teammate Chris Butcher on a charge as the Englishman. And looking at P7 and P8 and thinking, I think I can get these two made the next couple of laps or so. Maybe even now we'll have DRS. Maybe we'll have another 3 wide scenario. Riverchuck goes to the outside of Poom. Will Williams choose to go for it as well? No, he won't. Look at Riverchuck around the outside of Poom.
Can't blame him.
Great move from Riverchuck. I agree, Poom. Williams keeping it safe rather than sorry. It's still early days. Poom with a mistake on the outside of the exit at corner though, and it looks like Williams is going to make his way through. Maybe no. Look at Poom. Great defending into the corner with no name. Able to get it stopped in time as well. Great defense from him, but Riverchuck is through. He's into P7. Williams, is he going to go into P1? No, again, safety, the better part of valor.
Yeah, especially when he's got Chris Butcher behind, who's trying to keep, of course, within DRS and trying to keep sort of towed along. Here, Williams does not want to make a mistake and cause any problems further down the line for his team. He's playing this nice, and I applaud it here, James.
Again, the entire SLL field has been very good, very well behaved in opening laps in general. This year, it's great to see that trend continuing. Hygo Poom now has Matthew Williams all over the back. He's bided his time, and now he thinks that he can have a go. Actually, look at Riverchuck as well.
One thing we missed actually was Jack Mayer getting in front of Chris Shepherd, and Chris Shepherd now looking to bite back.
He's got back ahead of him as Jack Mayer. Brilliant work from the young Englishman, continuing his development trend with aplomb, stopping just a little bit too short, I think, for Chris Shepherd's liking. But we've got a big train here, and Hygo Poom has lost it on the exit of the source again. And this is the opportunity that Matthew Williams was waiting for around the outside of Arouge through Radion. The move completed, and Hygo Poom forced to go wide as Matthew Williams confirms that P8.
Keeping eyes forward, that is Chris Shepherd taking it past Jack Mayer. Jack Mayer having to go behind, and Rubicek keeping ahead of Matthew Flip That's tasty. Kieran White as well, just being able to get ahead of Mike Bell. So Kieran White up to 11th now, as he is on a recovery drive, of course, due to that penalty.
Be careful, Corey. You've got a bit of static coming through. Your mic is peaking a little bit, so just giving you the heads up. I know that you're super into your audio quality, so have a little check of that. But yeah, great defending from Harley Goku, able to keep Matthew Williams behind. Ribichuk with that great overtake on Matthew Cliff, really slicing his way through the field. Is Ribichuk. His car might look completely different to Gosby, but actually, to be fair, it doesn't matter because Gosby's out of the race now. And Martin Ribichuk is showing that the car has good pace, at least. And he's now TR Blue Boss's lone effort to score points today. Jack Mayer, of course, a little bit flabbergasted. I think that Chris Shepard has bitten back not once but twice. At the time of asking, of course, those two battling has meant they've now completely separated off the back of the podium. 2 seconds now off Laurent Kiersmakers, who himself is 2 seconds off Hutchinson, who himself is 2 seconds off Lucas Schmidt. The lead battle is starting to separate out, Corey, but the midfield, it is all stations go.
Oh yeah, that midfield is so close to each other. Right now, I'm looking at Ben Hall with Mike Bell right behind him, of course. Bell getting overtaken.
Oh, that's a red arrow round.
What a place to look as well. That's Chris Butcher. Nice little spin around as well, and he's kept it under control. That is a good little recovery for him, I will have to say. And he'll be looking to try and bite back. He's down in P19. He'll be looking to get forward. And information through as well, aren't we, James? Here, Kim, with a little bit of contact there on Chris Butcher with a little bit of a lock-up. I'm sure the back end will be having a little look at that.
Certainly. Martin Ribichuk then is further up the order through into P5. Jack Mayer had an excellent opening couple of laps, but his overall race pace on these ultra softs is starting to wane a little. So Ribichuk up to P5, Mayer down to P6, and it's no rest for the wicked, is it? Because he's now into the jaws of Clip, Boom, and Williams. After which, of course, with his teammate Butcher being spun by the ear Kian White, there's now a 3-second gap between Williams and the potential criminal in question, Kian White. He's up into P10, but could be facing repercussion post-race. Horrell P11 with Bell P12. You then got Leonov, Haisler, and Quint rounding up the rest of your point scorers. Of course, if you're new here, points go all the way down to P15. 25 for a win, a single point for P15. Your one retirement so far, Martin Gosby, after a massive mistake into the corner with no name on lap 1. Still your race leader, Lucas Schmidt, by 2.2 seconds.
Yeah, you talk about that point, and it's why it's so important here. Because looking right now with the current standing, Bastian Paisler in P4 is only 30 points ahead of, quickly checking now, Matt Richards down in P18. So there is so much to gain from each and every race here with this system.
Right, back to Matthew Williams, P9. He has been sat behind Haigo for a couple of laps now after initially overtaking Haigo. He moves to the outside, and I imagine, oh wow, look at that. Haigo using the slipstream of Matthew Clip to remain ahead, and maybe this is why Matthew Williams has been forced to sit behind for so long, because Matthew Cliff is sitting at such a pace that Haigo Poon can effectively track him and pick up on that slipstream to defend every time around. Going to be a frustrating situation for Matthew Williams. He might have to look into an overtake in the middle sector.
Yeah, just quickly having a little look towards the back as well. We've had Mike Quint drop out with an accident here, James, unfortunately.
That's a shame. He was running in the points with the satellite driver. I think the lone satellite driver for today is sadly out. We hear that he's lost it. Yeah, he's lost it at the top of Rally On. Good. He was close to hitting someone else actually there. So thankfully, it was only him that suffered and not anyone else. But a spectacular exit from the Belgian Grand Prix for Mike Quint, and he becomes our second retirement of the day on lap 6 of 36.
Yeah, keep eyes as well to the Haigo Poon. Being able to hold back Matthew Williams, like I said, but look at that against Matthew Clip and Jack Mayer ahead. This is a good little battle they've got there.
Jack Mayer, Martin Ribichuk is kind of edging his way further up the road, but Jack Mayer, we were talking about that waning pace. It seems to have stabilised just a little bit, but it's still not good enough to escape the clutches of Matthew Clip. Again, running so well in these early stages, knowing how his strategy goes, that might potentially put him in line for a podium later on in the race. We have to see how things develop. But look behind, there's Matthew Williams on the outside of Hygo Poom, and he's forced him to the outside here. Clip tries to overtake May, it doesn't happen. Matthew Williams has finally recompleted that overtake on Hygo Poom, and also almost had a look on Matthew Clip, who got loose through Le Com there. I think Matthew Williams is seeing this as an opportunity to make it 2 overtakes in the space of a lap. Honestly, I think that he needs to at this stage, Corey, because otherwise he could be susceptible to a second Hygo Poom re-overtake.
Yeah, he needs to be able to get a little bit of distance now. He's going to be, of course, trying to use Matthew Clip as a slipstream. He will have DRS off him as well, but he needs to get a little bit closer, and that's super hard to do here around all these turns at Spa. You know, the driving line, especially with that lack of downforce due to the dirty air, it's really hard to keep in close, but he's doing it just well enough. Look at that. He has closed it in a little bit to Matthew Clip.
Into the back part of this circuit we go then. Matthew Williams lining up the manoeuvre.
He's got to do it.
Got to do it, yeah, surely around the outside he'll have the space to break into, but almost breaks into the back of Jack Mayer, leaving it way too late. He manages to sweep it up and remain in P8, but it looked like he was completely caught out by the pace he went into the bus stop chicane with. Everyone thankfully comes out of it with cars undamaged, but that was a close call from Matthew Williams.
Yeah, that was a scary, scary moment. Of course, Jack Mayer staying quite a little bit ahead. Naturally, he's going to be trying to get away from Matthew Clip. He wants to make sure that Matthew Clip doesn't have that DRS. Still hangs on, but only by 2 attempts. And there's Williams. He's got to have done it. That's it. Easy peasy. Up to 7.
Am I? Look at Kean White, of course. Regardless of that incident and whatever way the DC decide that it goes, you've just got to put your head down and make the best with what you've got. And he is caught up to the back of this train, Kean White. A top 10 finish, looking pretty solidly on the cards right now. There's 4 seconds between himself and Ben Horrell in 11th. Honestly, with the pace he demonstrated in qualifying, Corey, I could see a top 5 coming potentially.
Yeah, I definitely what you could see as well. When you look at Mark Hutchinson all the way out front, you know that car does have the pace, James. Unfortunately, it's just not a Lucas Smith, who's absolutely blistering ahead, don't get me wrong. That front 3 being able to do it, but Smith 3.5 seconds in front of Hutchinson, and then Hutchinson 3 seconds in front of Gearsmakers. It's crazy out there, just how they're in sort of a league of their own.
Also pretty consistent with how when you go down from Schmidt to Hutchinson and Hutchinson to Gearsmakers, their laps are very consistent. As Williams on the inside of Jack Mayer, and that was a move that we saw kind of being formed last lap. He judged his braking zone a lot better this time, Williams, and he is through into P6.
Yeah, when you look at there, Chris Butcher after that incident earlier, Matthew Williams is having to make up for 2 drivers now, because Chris Butcher is unfortunate. He just cannot get any moves going. He's looking like he's getting in close on Johan Lindbergh, but he's also got a lot of threat coming from Lalu behind him. So super hard times now. Oh, Mayer!
Wow, look at that top line speed. That is a car that's set up for the straights. Look behind at Kean White as well. Not able to get past Hygo Poom, but I've got to check myself, guys. I don't want to seem like I'm going insane, but I think I hear some rain.
I can see some rain just right up there. Blimey, and bombs.
There is rain.
Oh, the one thing I really can't wait to see though, do we get a real life Germany scenario here where some of the track is in the rain and other parts are in the dry? It could.
It is Spa. It's one of our biggest circuits of the year, so out of anywhere, this is possible. And so we were expecting it, weren't we? It was forecast. The question now is, how heavy is it going to get? I don't think anybody's going to feel too... Well, I don't think they're going to be too threatened to go into intermediates right now, especially with the ultra softs, but it is going to pose a massive question once these guys get to the end of their tyre life, as Williams is through on Jack Mayer again, it seems. And inside of Blanchimont he goes.
Eisen Chris
out he
Shepherd
comes
as well,
in front.
who's really close into Gearsmakers right now. Gearsmakers having a little bit of an upset. And we should be coming up to the patch very soon. We need to see how far along
Clip's
to demonstrate that rain is. And yeah, Matthew Clip going in early.
Now, I was suggesting, before my point got cut off with the whole Matthew Williams overtake, I was saying we want to see how far these ultra softs go. It's an interesting time for the rain to arrive because it is coming near the end of stints. And that is intermediate tyres for Matthew Clip. He's calling it.
That's a bold move because I'm keeping my eyes on Lucas Smith. Lucas Smith is coming down through turn 10 into 11. There is no rain at the moment. The rain was a very short stint. Matthew Clip is probably going to be kicking himself in a few moments.
Usually so good with the strategy.
That's
If
disastrous.
if he needed to pit, I understand coming into the pits now. That's fair enough. I was expecting maybe a couple more laps out to the ultra softs, but I mean, I'm listening so hard trying to pick up if there's any rain. And I think that it wasn't worth pitting onto intermediates just to see what happens. And looking at that first sector, I mean, it's not a bad first sector. It's a 32. Actually, no, that's out the pits. We're going to see his second sector and how that lines up to everyone else's. We're seeing 46.8, 47.1, 47.4. So we're looking at 46s, mid 47s for the majority of the pack. Where is Matthew Clip currently? Struggling, it seems, behind Jukka-Pekka Lalu. Just going to come through the second sector split now, and his middle sector is a 48.0.
Not at the pace of the top 10. It's not even the top 13, 14. So he's definitely going to be feeling it there, and most tires are going to be overheating unless there is a bit of rain.
Okay, I can hear it up the top end of the circuit. It's... yeah, I'm thinking it's around the comms here. I'm going on board with Lucas Schmidt. And yeah, there's a bit of rain. Yeah. Kian White. Oh, Kian White going... actually, he's going deep into Le Com. Well, if that isn't a good indication of rain, then I don't know what is. Up the inside goes Heiko Poom. And he's back up into P8.
Interesting stuff. Who have I just seen? Lalu in the pits currently. He's just going to come out, of course, back of the pack with more just coming into the pits behind him.
He's onto the super soft scoring.
And yeah, I don't think this rain's going to be coming in hard enough. I reckon we're going to get those small patches and the driver's going to have to be careful in certain turns.
I don't think it's worth going on to intermediates at this stage. It's simply not
Or
wet
onto
enough.
the
The rain
inters,
is.
though.
It's like a Tinder date, isn't it? The rain's not committed enough to actually come when you ask for it.
Getting too real now, James. Too real.
I come back from holiday, I'm ready to learn to lay down the pessimism while I'm here. Rasim Ribichuk then, P5, and Matthew Williams, after getting past the two MDRs, is starting to show some good pace yet again. A little bit slippy into the bus stop chicane. It's a good time to come to him because he's just going into the pits now. Going to be curious to see what tyre he selects. If I were these boys, I'd go another set of ultras.
Yep.
Just for the grip. We saw, of course, earlier Lalu come in for the super softs, which would be the second best option, I would suggest. The rain is starting to come down a little heavier, and Williams is going on to the intermediates.
Well.
I just go on to his on board, and that rain is coming down heavier.
It is indeed. Yeah, it is suddenly starting to come down, especially around that grid in the pits. So, yeah, it's looking like, Leonov having to slow down as Butcher got caught up in front of him a little bit. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I think there's still certain parts of the track.
But look how much time Clip lost in regards to Williams. Williams has just come into the com. Actually, to be fair, not that much time has been lost. Williams is 5 seconds ahead of Clip. So Clip definitely went onto the inters too early, but it's not unsalvageable because of the rain coming down much heavier now.
I'm just trying to keep it. I'm just like tracking out at the moment. Where is the rain? It's currently looking further down the field, for Sheffield and it's only just coming on towards the back of Stablo, so it's near enough the third sector and halfway through the first. So
It's
it's
the pit lane,
interesting.
isn't it? It's the pit lane going up towards the
And it's not even up
towards the
Lancaster.
com. Schmidt in. Schmidt is in.
Oh, there is now at the further parts down towards 18. So this is an interesting where it's all spread out.
It is coming in from the
And
north
Schmidt.
side of the circuit. I've looked at my track map. Chris Shepherd goes on.
They're
Mayer
trying to
goes
do
on.
the overcut here. This strategy has to work out, but look at that, where it's wet, how far out Shepherd has to go.
Yeah, everyone going on to Inters now, it seems. And oh, I think Mayer's gone very deep at the source. Chris Shepherd, bold move to stay out at this point. I don't know, it's going to have to be the out or the in lap of his life, not just in terms of pace. And Kearsmakers has come out behind Matthew Williams. Look at that, so already Williams' opportunity, it came and he took it. He went onto the Inters before any other front runner, and he's now technically in net P3.
Yeah, now you can start to see the pace difference as well. Because look at Jack Mayer right behind Lucas Schmidt, but Mayer's still on those ultras.
Look at Horrell as well. Horrell up there in P6, but on the Ultra Softs, he's really struggling. And look at Lauren Kearsmakers, who's completely unable to pass him. Finally, down the inside, going downhill, but Ben Horrell's all over the place.
Yeah, having a little look a further bit back as well. Mike Bell and Ivan Leonov firing it out. You can see grip so hard for these guys to be able to obtain.
And they're on Inters. The only ones not to pit now are Shepherd, Mayer, and Horrell. I fear for Chris Shepherd. I think he's going to be looking at maybe 9th or 10th by the time he comes out of the pits again. To be fair, he's done very well with his car control to keep things going. And the good news for him, at least, is he'll have one extra lap of tyre life on those intermediates. I don't think they're going to last him until the end of the race. Lap 14 of 36 we're going to be going on to once he crosses the line.
He's only just come into the
pits
rain now. So Blancashmont
There he
is drying up a little bit on the rain as well. So, oh! Okay,
He's hit
Chris
the
Shepherd,
inside.
you see inside. That
Yeah.
is crazy.
Close call. Close call. And Lucas Schmidt then goes through to reassume lead of the race. But look at how far behind Mark Hutchinson is. Not only that, but look how close Matthew Williams is. He started outside the top 10, need I remind you. P13. Unlucky for some, but for Hutchinson, he has turned the luck his way, and he's right on the gearbox now of Mark Hutchinson, eyeing up P2.
Williams got to keep eye on that as well, because we know the pace they can get off with the slipstream. DRS open, and of course Hutchinson don't have any of that lovely stuff. Easy for Williams to be able to take P2.
I was looking at the first 10 laps and I'm thinking, oh, it's gonna be Schmidt. It's gonna be him running away with it, isn't it? We're gonna have our first boring SL race of the season. But Matthew Williams' pace is quicker than Lucas Schmidt. I think we've got a race on our hands once again, folks. And now Lucas Schmidt, can he respond to the pace that Williams is showing?
Yeah, quick look now, of course, to P8. Chris Shepherd has just overtaken Kieran White. It was almost able. It was Kieran White was battling with Hygo Poo no more than 20 seconds ago, and unfortunately overcooked it going into the comms, having to give back the pace and of course give him back a lot of pace where he just had to brake to allow his rival through. But Chris Shepherd not looking too bad at this point, but of course he's got a lot of recovery after that bad judgment call strategy and tyres.
And he's in a similar position to Martin Rivacek as well, because his teammate Johan Lindberg has become our third retirement of the day. So the lone hope for stacks points is Chris Shepherd, and he'll be wanting to hope that he can pull away from Kean White, though the Irishman doesn't seem too keen on that idea. In fact, he looks like he's going to attack him back into the bus stop chicane. Is he going to go for the switchback? No, Chris Shepherd goes unopposed. Kean White goes for the deeper turn-in. But as they exit the bus stop chicane, it is as they were, Shepherd 8th and White 9th.
Looking at the skies as well here, James, I reckon we're going to be back on slicks by the end of this race. Look at that, with how it's starting to clear up out there, and it's going to be basically driving over, you know, a lot of the wet. and getting rid of those puddles and then back onto the slicks, and that's going to be another strategy call which would be interesting to see later down the line.
Oh, is that Poon going wide? Yes, it is. And look at Ian White. DRS open for him, but because of Poon going wide, Shepard's actually picked up DRS himself to defend with. White's on the outside, Shepard on the inside, and Shepard defends the inside nicely. A mistake from Igo Poon further up the road. It didn't cost him a position, but it did cost White the opportunity to overtake.
Yeah, looking like the rain has now moved around turns 10 through 13, 14. An interesting one, how it's all moving about and this track is evolving over time.
So it's lap 15 of 36, nearing the halfway point of this light Grand Prix. Lucas Schmidt has led from pole, and he now leads by 9.6 seconds from Matthew Williams, who not too long ago overtook Mark Hutchinson. He started P13, Matthew Williams, and that 9.6 second gap has been demolished by 7/10 over the last sector alone. Matthew Williams absolutely flying. As things stand, he'll be hoping that these conditions are here to stay, as Keersmakers, who was in the podium briefly for the first part of this race, down to P4 now. Riverchuck P5 after slicing his way through the top 10 early doors. Clip, despite making a super early call to go into the inters, is P6. And then we come to this battle. Igo Poom versus Chris Shepard versus Kian White. It's a three-way scrap for 7th with Jack Mayer front row seats behind in 10th.
Yeah, you talked about that earlier on with Matthew Williams being able to take chunks out of Lucas Schmidt. That to me here, James, looks like Schmidt is looking after those tyres. He knows these sporadic rain still cycles are only going to stick around, and that tyre life is going to be so important because it could come down to one less pit stop by the end of the race. Look at Igo Poom, they're having to go so far over to the left and radial.
That is not the first time that he has messed up Eau Rouge and Radeon. In fact, that's 2 laps in a row he's messed up Eau Rouge and Radeon. Into the Le Com chicane we go. We've actually just got through from race control. The DRS has been deactivated as well for the time being, so conditions now too wet to allow the usage of that particular mechanism. So all overtakes are going to be based on natural slipstream alone. So obviously for the guys such as Shepard, such as White, things have been going great. They've been finding good pace, but now they're going to have to overtake the hard way.
Yeah, and that for us is going to be an interesting one because it is all down to the power of the slipstream, like you said. We know it can be done on the Kemmel Straight, but around the rest of the track, it's going to be so hard to keep up with the rest of the pack here. I'm keeping my eyes on Chris Shepard just to see how things develop over the next 2 laps for him, because he's super close to Igo Poom, but then he's also got Kian White, who's fallen off a little bit behind James. Oh, Shepard's closing in.
I've noticed that his car's been all over the track. He's been looking for the wettest parts, which cools down the tyres a little bit and helps him go a little bit more aggressive in his driving style. And we know that Shepard likes an aggressive driving style. He likes to put his nose in, but he doesn't like tank slappers like that. It means any potential opportunity into turn 1 kind of passes him by, but that might also be a silver lining as he loses it into turn 1 to boot as well. You don't want to cool down the tyres too much, Corey, otherwise that happens.
Yep, otherwise it looks like you're trying to do a Tokyo drift around the source, and that ain't pretty. Actually, it is quite pretty, but it's not going to get you any speed at all. Look at that, Kian White now is going to be able to cruise in the gap just a little bit. He is trying to use that slipstream, but he's not going to be able to do it come the corners.
Let's mention our point scorers further down the order. Ivan Leonov still there in P11, a solid job from the CM Tech driver. Paisley's made his way up in P12 and behind. Great battle going on between Mike Bell and Chris Butcher. Chris Butcher, remember, spun at the source by Kian White, and he's putting on a great recovery drive up into P13, a committed move on Mike Bell down to P14. Ranu Muru currently rounding out the point scores in P15, some 6 seconds clear of Danny Van Der Neet in P16. So it's looking all nice and rosy for the point scorers as things stand as we approach the halfway point of this race. But still, Matthew Williams eating into that gap that Lucas Schmidt holds. We were saying pre-race, weren't we, that the one flaw in Schmidt's setup, in the car setup, is potentially, if wet weather comes, he's not looked as solid as when it's dry. And as Matthew Williams crosses the line now, that is 8.5 seconds the gap. It remains not coming down by chunks, but he's eating into it bit by bit.
Yeah, if you look at that last lap, it was pretty much 4 tenths quicker, and that was the same beforehand. So 4 tenths. Of course, we're halfway into the race now. Oh, Shepard's up, we've just been told.
Oh, and he's lost his front wing as well. He lost it on the exit of the bus stop chicane.
The source as well, so we're going to have to spend an entire lap without a front wing. Shepard's going to fall back drastically right now because Jack Mayer's closing in right on him. Oh, Shepard's going to find it so hard here. Look at this. Through Radion. That's him going to be limping the whole way back.
It's the worst place to drop it. And Poom and Clip are in battle as well. Look at Matthew Clip defending off Hygo Poom. So Poom is in decent pace as well. Of course, Kian White now doesn't have Chris Shepard ahead of him, so he can just focus on Poom ahead. But yeah, for Chris Shepard, we saw it happen to him. We saw him have that tank slapper out the final corner just a lap ago. Lessons weren't learned. And sadly for him, that might very well be his chance of points over.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Shepard now. He's having to take every escape route that he can. Coming to comps, he had to go, the long way, just straight on, and then exit, of course. He's got to be careful on that as well to make sure that he's not actually going around faster naturally, because it could be an unfair advantage from him.
Clip and Hygo Poom still close. I think that's a decent battle to look on, especially with Ian White closing in on their positions. We are keeping an eye on the Schmidt-Williams gap, now down to 8.3. Williams going to cross the line very soon as Poom is... look at this, he's looking for the outside maneuver on Matthew Clip. Clip breaks very late, and having the inside line's a big advantage there because you can kind of deliberately brake a little bit later, cut off the path essentially for the guy trying to go around the outside. The Clip is very much in full defense mode here, and Hygo, well, he's got to be in all offense, doesn't he? Because he wants to get past Clip before Kian White can go him.
Yeah, look at this right now. Hygo Poom's got the pace, of course, with that slipstream. So he's going to be losing a little bit up radio, but right now, have a look at this. He's going to be able to get so much. Look at that pace straight off the bat. Bish bash bosh, job done. But naturally, he was in the dry part of the track, so those tyres could be heating up a little bit. Kian White closed in massively there, but that's a hard break.
I admire the entrepreneurism there from Kian White. It was a nice attempt.
Got to take the risks there.
You do have to take the risks, but I think Kian White calculated it well. He knew that he had the runoff area if it went wrong.
Shepard leads in the pits in P21, by the way, and those are some cold tyres. Is he really struggling on exit?
It's interesting that he's come back out on inters as well, a good indicator of the weather. He doesn't think it's worth risking it on the dry tyres, even after losing the front wing. So a long uphill battle now for Chris Shepard to even score a point. He'll be hoping now that the rain actually dies down and that there is a crossover onto dry tyres, because that will be the time for him to take a risk of his own to get back into the top 15.
Well, I've been looking around the track and I can't actually see a place where it is still raining. So it is just, it's just up at La Source. That's it. So it is, and it's very likely at La Source. But it is that track wetness, like you said, and that's going to be lingering around for a few laps. So it's sort of come at a really bad time for Chris Shepard, because of course naturally everyone else will pit in, but he's got to as well. So this is going to be rag those inters as hard as he can to try and make up any time.
Let's see, it's up 20 to 36. I honestly think that no matter whether you prefer driving in these intermediate conditions or whether you prefer the dry, I think everyone kind of will want the wet weather to remain for just a little bit longer, because we're getting towards that stage, Corey, where you could effectively do one more change onto ultra soft tyres and you'll be able to make it until the end of the race.
Yeah, looking around the Lecombs and 10 with a little bit of rain as well. Kian White just being able to take Matthew Clip on the straight, and that is a good overtake as well to Kaya early. Hygo Poom now probably with an even more dangerous and hungry driver behind him.
And to be fair, this was coming, wasn't it? Matthew Clip, he first onto the intermediate tyres a good 2 laps early, however, and I think that's finally coming back to bite him. He would have eaten through a good chunk of those intermediates just by value of driving on what was effectively dry track at the time. And so, yes, now the tyres are in a better element, but the
He's gotta
life
look after
is
them,
a
that's
lot
it.
less. Yeah.
As we're looking at it now, I reckon it's going to be moving over to slicks in about 4 or 5 laps time. But can Matthew Clip handle that? And will the rain start pouring down again? That's the big question, because it's not
There is
a
a
given.
dry line. Look at, there is a dry line starting to form. It's not dry tyre territory just yet, Corey, but I agree with you. I think next 4 or 5 laps or so, we will start to see, unless there's more rain,
Well,
of course.
the big indicator will be if DRS gets re-enabled.
Yes. Of course, each of these drivers has their own little sound that goes off when DRS is available. Lights come on as well. It's a whole show. It's worth the ticket entrance, that's for sure.
Oh,
It's
Hygo
worth the ticket
Boom!
fee.
Really losing their Atlas source, and Kieran White having to brake hard, making sure he didn't go into him as well. Kieran White's got to make this move now. You can see the pace going up, ready on. He's got this move. Look at him do this.
First time this race that Hygo Poom has suffered with traction out of the source, or a lack thereof rather. Kieran White looking for a repeat move of what he performed on Matthew Clip, but Hygo Poom's top line speed comes to the rescue once again. That car is set up to defend and to attack, and he is protect his P6 for the moment.
Definitely that setup holding on strong for Hygo Poom for how long. Kieran White is just continuously, time after time, taking little jabs at him. Hygo Poom's going to falter at some point. It's more down to Kieran White not making those risks that could cost him, really. Just looking at that from Poom ahead of Kieran White, just there going out super wide, and he will be knackering his tyres because of that. This is all playing into White's hands right now.
This race does find itself on a bit of a knife edge, certainly, with some drivers starting to lose grip in their inters with the weather, of course, and with the lead battle, Lucas Schmidt and Matthew Williams. That gap has remained at about 8.5 to 9 seconds for the last couple of laps or so, and actually, the last time around, the gap went above 9 seconds, so I think Lucas Schmidt's found a bit more pace in his pocket, as he so often does.
I don't know,
And,
I'm looking at that and I'm going Williams, because a lot of the pace is coming from across all the sectors, when Williams is fast in the sectors 2 and 3 from low down. So that's Williams trying to save these tyres now. They're all trying to look, okay, is this rain stopping or is it going to hit back down again? They're having to figure out when to pit. And I'm looking at it, those skies are getting grayer. It cleared up for a little bit, but it's looking to hit back for a second bout of rain.
It was an interesting call, wasn't it? To go into the inters. It came at the perfect time because it came at the end of an ultra soft stint. Speaking of the end of, I think we might be seeing the end of Hygo Poom's defence here. Kieran White through at Lacombe. A simple move, an excellent move, up into P6. But yeah, when it comes to this second pit stop, will they have to go ultras again? Or will some people feel it's worth taking the risk to head back onto dries?
I'm just going to tell you right now, Callum Roberts unfortunately out of the race. He had a crash. He was on the soft tyres. He took the risk,
did he?
and he tasted the wall after that one. Clearly not slick weather just yet, and we know as well from the slicks, the ultras are the easiest to handle, of course, in the wet due to them having that little bit more grip. So he was banking on that soft lasting for the rest of the race. I'm looking in right now, those are yellow.
The Ben Hole's out as well, we missed that. It might be something to do with him retiring. It does say soft on race view. It also says ultra soft for Ben Hall. So
that could just be a problem.
Honestly,
like I said though,
either way.
yeah, because I'm looking at them in the pits and the tyres are correct what they say.
Yeah, because I think it records the tyre when they retire. So that would suggest that Ben Hall was in and went onto the ultras, and that Callum Roberts did the same but onto the softs. Very strange calls, in my opinion, if that is the case. Bit too early.
Looking for a battle right now, James, and it just pretty much seems to be the Hygo Poom situation is just going to keep on giving, because naturally Matthew Clip, he's holding on to the point behind. Like we said, he's going to be looking after those tyres, so he's not looking to get in so deep. Of course, you can see that dry line is forming up.
I think Bellamuru, I think is the battle we should go to. Yeah, I agree, Mr. Cameraman. I agree. With Mike Bell here in P13, he's been losing a lot of pace. He's in the points, which is good certainly for Mr. Bell. Coming fresh off a win in the International Touring Cup. And worth watching back that broadcast, of course, the first round from my local circuit, Brands Hatch. And Mike Bell, spoiler alert, by the way, Mike Bell picking up his first ever win in the ITC, which was great to see, and worth watching that broadcast after you finished up with us as well. So like that, it's every other Thursday, so not tomorrow, obviously, because it's Super League, but on every other Thursday of the main Korea Ladder Week. That's when you'll find ITC live. So I forget where we're heading to next in the ITC. Euro Speedway Lausitz, Austria.
Germany.
Oh, it is German. My bad. I get too confused up. I was like, Austria.
But looking now as well, just quickly on that Mike Bell fight, look at Danny Vanderneet is closing on in behind as well, which is an interesting one, because we could have a three-way fight.
Oh my word! He decided to... He's... saw his girlfriend making out with someone else in the stands and was incensed. He went off the circuit and then realised, wait a second, I'm still in the race. He's lost a good 3 positions out of that. Down to P16 he goes. Van der Neet and Thomas Andriamiariso are benefiting up into the points. Ranu Muru, goodness me. A bizarre situation. He actually, to tell you the truth, he got his tyre stuck on the grass, didn't he? And once you get stuck on a wet patch of grass around these circuits in a Formula car with intermediate style tyres, you're going to be flying.
Look at this right now. He's going to be able to climb back into the points, but that's a big drop. And that's a big early break. That was an interesting one. You might not trust that.
His tyres were massively overheated, Corey. I mean, after that incident, he just wants to make sure that his brakes are still working properly. A hairy moment there for Ranu Muru, who was looking comfortable with points there, but has all the work to do now. Thankfully for him, he's got 8 seconds back to James Early in P17, so he's on his own for the moment at least. Mike Bell, he's laughing. He's still in P13. He's got a couple of seconds back to Danny Van der Neet. Although fair play to Van der Neet, actually starting right at the back of the field. Dead last today in P27. And up in the points, a great recovery drive.
Yeah, you're going to be comparing Van der Neet to Early there, where Early started near enough on the same grid line as Van der Neet, because they both had the 10-spot penalties. But Van der Neet's been making those chances, and he's just got a little bit ahead.
Of course, it was all looking so great for Netrex at the beginning of the year when it was Alkbus Van der Neet. And then it all seemed to turn around, didn't it, when Van der Neet was excluded from Bahrain for using different tyres in the race, or starting on different tyres rather.
Oh Christ, that was qualified on.
And after that, Alkbus left the team, and Jukka Pelolalu's come in, and he's been good. He's scored points, but the team, with a lack of upgrades coming to the car as well, looking like a shadow of the potential that it was showing in those early races. So any points here and there are good, as Jack Mayer, I think, gets past Sebastian Pazer. No, Sebastian Pazer getting past Ivan Leonov there for P10. Another man, as I said, his form has been wildly all over the place, Sebastian Pazer. A top 10 will do his confidence a world of good.
Yeah, just having a look there, Leonov's pace really dropping off. He's going to have to be careful. I wonder if that's a problem with his car, or just that is the end of his tyres, because the slipstream is not powerful enough in Pazer to be 7/10 quicker in one sector alone.
Then we've got to go back to P13. Mike Bell and Danny Van der Neet, they're getting close, aren't they? Mike Bell with consistent pace, but it's not consistently fast enough to try and escape the raging Dutchman behind him. It's that 26 of 36, and it seems like a ticking time bomb at the moment, Corey. We're waiting for the second round of pit stops to come, and we're no closer, I don't think, to determining whether it's dry tyre weather or whether you should stick on the intermediates.
Yeah, it's looking to have cleared up again, but again, every so often a little bit of a downpour happens at some part of the track, and of course that water gets carried naturally with it. You can look at the source right now with Hygo Boom and just how wet it is still there.
Oh, he's going to dive to the inside of the bus stop chicane. He's made it super obvious what he's going to do, and I think he's seen Roundumuru's girlfriend as well. He got drawn into the same direction. And unlike Roundumuru, actually, he's been able to save the car. He's still in P14, but he's put himself under immense pressure now from Andriami Hariso behind. Mike Bell laughing. He's seen two people behind him try and overtake him into the bus stop chicane and trip over themselves, essentially.
Yeah, all credit to him. He's keeping his head cool because naturally when you've got dive downs like that, you can make a mistake because it's hard to read what your rival is doing in those situations, isn't it? So Mike Bell just keeping it nice and calm and cool, allowing them to make mistakes, and he's going to be happy in P13 right now.
I mean, it's where the whole alias of the Bell train comes from, isn't it? He is a very adept defender. He knows where to place the car, and over the years he's gained that experience to know when to let a fight go, and when there's something worth holding on to. And he's showing...
P13 would match his best finish so far this season, so he's got to be quite happy right now. But I can imagine he's looking up ahead and just being there like, with these weathers, with this weather like it is, if it pours down again and we get a couple of dropouts, he's just got to drive consistently, and that's what he's focusing on right now.
Weather's mad, bruv. Lucas Schmidt, by the way, has dropped a little bit of time to Matthew
Can we just
Williams.
talk about that very clear dry line throughout the entirety of the track?
Yeah. I think that's kind of where Schmidt's starting to lose his time, because Matthew Williams has gained a second on him since we were last looking at the gap. It's really close, isn't it? I think if you were to keep a car perfectly online, dry tyres will be the way forward. Yeah, but right now, I mean, look how wet it is offline.
And then as well, at the point, I reckon we're going to be looking at another 2 laps on the inters, and then that would be 7 laps on the ultras, which is perfect, you know, because naturally you've had your different compounds, everything's fine and dandy on that, and then those ultras should be the best to handle in these conditions.
And it's curious, isn't it? Because we're so, some of these gaps are so close that choosing the right tyre at the right time now could gain you 2-3 positions. As Van der Neet, we were talking about him going off the track just a lap ago. Now he's fully under pressure from Andriami Harisoa, looking at P14 himself. And don't forget, Roundumuru's still there in P16.
Yeah, and it's well when, oh, look at that, Hygo Boom going off the track, and he's lost it entirely, he crashes on into, I didn't see who that was he connected
It's a
with.
back marker. Is it Lalu? No.
It was Tommy Watt.
Yeah, Thomas Bach, yeah, sadly the Cenobite driver who was never really figuring for points, I don't think, but Hygo Puma's lost his front wing, and after such a brilliant drive up until that point, it was wet weather, inexperience, panic, maybe a combination of all three setting in. It's not necessarily as bad as Chris Shepherd's front wing loss earlier. He's only got about a quarter of the circuit to go before he's back in the pits, but that was an easy top 10 thrown out the window. Leonov benefits is up into P10, and actually looking on the back of Bastian Pazer as well, so he might get even better for even Leonov. Chris Butcher will benefit, he's up to P11. And look at Mike Bell, he would be up into P12 if it wasn't for Danny Van der Neet! Again, not stopping the car in time, and Mike Bell just drives around him.
Spin around at the source as well, connecting with Bastian Pazer. Hygo Boom into the pits. This has got to be the time where we're going to see some of the drivers pit on in, because I'm looking at Hygo Boom right now, and yep, those are some ultra softs.
Yeah, ultra softs. And it's understandable as well, we're right at the end of this intermediate tyre life, and it's coming at the perfect time.
Shepherd in
There's
as
Shepherd
well.
in as well. We were talking about Shepherd, weren't we? He needs to make the right call, and he needs to go on to drives at the perfect time to make up the positions he lost. Is he going on to ultras? You bet your dollar he is. He's going on to ultras. He'll be back out in the top 20.
Yep, and Mura as well. I'm just going to say spun out on Stablo, and unfortunately has had to retire from the race.
That's a real shame there. So that is 7 retirements now. Mura Roberts, 6, I can't count. Oral Lindbergh, Quinton Gosby. And Muru losing it again there through the com. Easy points turning into a horror show for the TTF driver, the lone TTF driver out there. And look at the lead gap now. 4.9 seconds between Schmitz and Williams.
Yeah, this is the tyre problem going on right now, and I'm definitely expecting these drivers to pit in, because there is not a single spray coming off of these tyres, essentially.
Clip and Mare going side by side. Mare on the inside of the bus stop chicane. Side by side next as well. Oh, Mare with a massive tank slapper. Gets it rescued, but Clip goes on. In fact, the entirety of the top 8 have gone on.
I'm surprised that Clip is actually continuing on. He was the one I thought would be going on to those ultra softs, because he pitted so early, didn't he?
Who is the lead dry tyre runner then? Danny Van Der Neek comes in from 14th. James Early doesn't come in. Matt Richards, Muru. Oh my goodness me. Is it going to be Poom or Van Der Neet? I think Van Der Neet's going to come out ahead of Poom at this point.
Have to keep eyes on that. Oh yeah, it's definitely Van Der Neet, looking at where Poom is. So Van Der Neet could be making the tyre swap call. That's a lot of smoke as he takes off, of course. Not smoke, sorry, spray coming off. Where naturally no one's driving through the pit, so he's got to be careful on the exit, because that is going to be like he's on ice. That is a struggle.
He is. Oh, we get to the dry line, get to safety, and you could see how instantly the tyres just gripped once he hit that dry section. He comes out not too far ahead of Heiko Poom, actually.
We just had 2 DNFs, by the way, Chris Shepherd and Lakapelalu.
So Shepherd was on dries.
Yeah.
Interesting. Look at that. The gap between Schmidt and Williams now 4 seconds. Are any of these top runners going to come in either? No, none of the top 5 coming in. But look at Ribichuk catching up to gears makers as well now. So the top 5 or the top 4-5 battle getting close. The top battle P1 and P2 getting closer.
Look at Kim White as well. So those 3 are going to be definitely down to...
Clip went off as well. I think Mare's going to overtake him here for P7. Yep, so another mistake at the bus stop chicane, and it's Jack Mare through. Bastian Paisler in from P9. Now we're going to see just how much time Van Der Neet has made from coming in P14.
And look at that, Matthew Clip being able to take P7 as Jack Mare had a little bit of an error into La Source. So everything back to normal in the world. We'll see how this evolves.
Van Der Neet's lost his front wing.
What?
So the dry tyre runners are falling into multiple issues. And off the circuit again goes Danny Van Der Neet, this time down at Stavolo 2. And dearie me, I don't think Ultras are the right tyre for the moment. And yeah, Pacer's on Inters. He's really taken the feedback, hasn't he? Yeah, he's seen all of these dry tyre runners falling off the road, and he said, listen, it's lap 30 of 36. We're not that far away from the end. Let's stay safe.
That's it right now. The dry tyre is the risk because, of course, naturally, that dry line is so thin. But when you've got drivers like Paisler still on those inters, he's going to be making that line wider. So we'll see how it goes in the last few laps.
Yeah, I really don't think that anyone else is going to be pitting. Mayer with a mistake there on the exit of Stavlo, and notice Heiko Poom back in the pits. Once again, no front wing. And look at that, Van Der Neet onto Winters. So I think that, more than anything, the experimentation has failed. Poom is going to stick with the ultra soft tyres. I don't blame him. Yeah, in for a penny, in for a pound at this point. Although I think it's the front wings that are getting pounded on this particular occasion. Obviously, the intermediates are the tyres to be on, and this close to the end, is there any point in pitting? It doesn't really matter how close your tyres are to the edge. If you can make it for the next 6 laps, Corey, you might as well stay out.
It comes down to, will we see that massive drop-off in the tyres? James. Oh, I'm having a look at Lawrence Gears Makers, and he just absolutely lost it coming out of turn 10 into 11. And you can see they're right at the end of the line. So I am still expecting another pit from the front brothers.
Mayer is back past Clip, by the way. That was an overtake down the Kemmel straight. Those two have a great scrap, aren't they? Once again, Clip coming in with a solid top 10 position. As further down the order, back down to the source we go, is Bell versus Adriani Harry-Soa. Mike Bell up into P11 because of all the people pitting there.
Crazy as, of course, and like you said, Danny Fantini back onto those inters. I go Prim, this is going to be an interesting one because, of course, he naturally picked quite a bit after, but look at how he's closing in on Van der Leek right now. The Ultras are much, much quicker, but they do not allow any space for error.
He's just coming into the stable this section. I'm curious to see his sector 2. Because the sector 2s coming in right now are about 47s. Igo Poom sets a 49, so that's not worth the risk, is it? And actually, I can hear the rain again.
Oh, where is that? Having a quick look around.
Look on. See the spray starting to reassert itself. Up to P4 then, and speaking of the con, going through there are Kearsmakers and Riverchuck. It's already been too close, these two, but Riverchuck has a sniff of P4, and he's got, what, 4.5 laps to try and make a move done? To be fair, with the pace that he's been demonstrating, on the cards coin.
Yep, of course, like we saw earlier with Gosby dropping out. A few extra points here by risking it for the position is worth it, naturally, for the team.
Said actually, it's round 11 of 16, so we're nearing the end of our 2019 Superleague Lights campaign, our first inaugural one, of course. And it is worth taking a little look to the constructors' title. It is a constructor, of course, because all of these teams are developing and constructing their car. Let's keep an eye on this lead title fight, because Red Arrow lead on 208 going into today. 4 points ahead of Cosmo Seiki Japan. And so Cosmo Seiki at the moment are going to be scoring, what, 30 points? Whereas Red Arrow are going to be scoring 26. And so they're actually going to be equal on points going out of today. The only reason that Cosmo goes into first is because of all those wins that Lucas Schmidt is racking up.
Right, I'm going to be keeping my eye here on Lauren Kearsmakers and Martin Rubchek, just purely because you can see the difference in their straight line speed. Kearsmakers definitely has a more favoured car for that, but that slipstream will start to come into it now. And look at Rubchek being able to closing, but not enough to be able to make an overtake.
Cat and mouse.
Yep, there is rain up in the comms. Yeah. It's the smallest amount at just the smallest area of the track. It's a crazy one here.
But it's enough to keep the track in intermediate tyres. It's not like earlier when it was dry running conditions. And okay, you had to be careful, but you didn't have to change onto intermediate tyres. In these scenarios, you've got to stay on intermediates, otherwise you're going to be flying.
Yeah, like you can see there, Rubchek getting slid out wide due to naturally those tyres overheating. Where there's still so much wet on the track, if you run in the inters, you can cool them off quite handily. But in the dry, you've got no choice. You have to be pinpoint perfect, otherwise that is it, you're out the race. And Poom right now coming into the pits on those ultras, I bet he's slapping on the inters for the final, and I'm correct.
I'm at the lap times. Lucas Schmidt and Matthew 3 seconds apart now. I think the gap's coming down at too slow a rate for there to be a lead battle. Speaking of battles, we have got a Stormer down here in P12. Mike Bell once again laughing off into the distance because Adriani Harrison has been re-caught by Bastian Paisler. Remember, Bastian Paisler took an extra pit stop. He's on a fresh set of intermediate tyres. He's been flying recently. He's dragging James Early with him.
Yeah, Paisler was one of the drivers that went on for an extra pair of inters. So you can see the distance there just from a pit stop. But Paisler currently sitting in fourth in the constructors. Mark Hutchison up in third is going to be overtaking him here today, unless there is an accident. We had a little bit of rain looking to start up and over Blanchardmont. It's definitely getting a lot darker there, and I can see a couple of trickles.
It's just further solidifying staying on the intermediate top is the best call. And because nobody in the top 10 really started a domino effect of just pitting and forcing others to change tyres, none of the front runners really felt the need. As here goes Paisley down the inside of La Source, and that was a calm and collected move. A little bit of a snap on exit, but Paisley through into P12.
Yeah, now looking at early as well. Wanting to do a very similar thing, but will he be allowed? Though I do say, Arizona is closing on in there. He will be in range to make a move right now.
Greatest exit off the source, of course, and look at that, Bastian Paisley hasn't closed the door. Andrew Harry Soa, though, he backs out, he questions himself and whether he's able to pull off the overtake. He then sort of half-heartedly cuts off his teammate there as well in P14, James Early. Bastian Paisley are allowed to get away.
Yeah, that is going to hurt them
Oh,
quite a little
Ribichuk.
bit, and you can see Early.
Oh, and contact! Oh. Contact at the bus stop chicane. Ribichuk didn't fully spin Keersmakers, but the two of them did come to blows. It's lap 35 of 36. And that was as close as Ribichuk has ever gotten, but that might also be the final opportunity.
Having a look at Matthew Williams as well, now down to 2.7, so he is faster than naturally. Schmidt's tyres are starting to show that wear, but that is not enough. It's super unfortunate for them. We have to give everyone, you know, commendations for how they're having to drive in such difficult scenarios right now, but really showing the class of some of these drivers. Like, we have to look at Kieran White up in 6th, and he is way ahead.
Look at Paisley on the back of Bell. He's all over the back of Bell, and he goes into contact with Bell. Massive snap moment from Bastian Paisley. Bell was non-committal. He ended up essentially going in the middle of the road, and Paisley ended up slapping into Mike Bell's side pod there. James Early benefits the commotion, the two Royal Blues going into contact. It's lap 35 and 36 now, penultimate lap for these guys. And look at who's that? Is that Matt Richards getting involved? Matt Richards in P15 joins the party.
Yeah, it's not lap 35 for these guys, it's actually the final lap. Lucas Schmidt is coming up to start that final lap.
Yeah, no, they're on lap 35.
Yeah, 35.
Schmidt's going on to 36.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to catch up. That's me being a dummy.
What's the gap? Again, 2 seconds. You can see him, Matthew Williams, but it's not close enough as Richards overtakes Andrea Mihari Soa for P14.
Rubshek on Keersmakers. At the bus stop chicane, he's going to...
and that's a slap! And Ribichuk's through. That was Keersmakers just losing traction through the bus stop chicane, going uphill. And I think that's deserved from Ribichuk. He's been persistent, and he's finally come away with a reward.
He's just got to hold on to it in this last lap as well. Keersmakers, I can't imagine being able to hold on there. Like I said earlier, Mark Hutchinson just being able to see the two in his rear view mirrors, but 2.5 seconds ahead, he should be able to hold on to this.
Keersmakers fighting back. Yeah, look at this. The straight line speed. Absolutely supreme. And they come into contact with each other. Again through the con they go. And Ribichuk forces Keersmakers off the road. To be fair, I don't half blame him because of the contact from earlier. All's fair in love and racing, and sometimes lovers need to quarrel, Corey.
Yeah, and that to me looked like Keersmakers' fault on the straight, locking back in, trying to push Rubshek all the way off to the side, and Rubshek held his ground. He's allowed to.
Oh my goodness, 1.4 seconds the gap between Schmidt and Williams. We have to take our focus there. We've not talked much about Lucas Schmidt. That's because he's basically been impervious for the entire race. Even when he has lost time to Matthew Williams, he's been supreme. What could have been if Williams didn't have that 10th place grid penalty? We will never know. But Lucas Schmidt on the day racks up win number 7 of his campaign. It's his 6th win in a row with Matthew Williams P2. And just coming through Blanchardmont now, is Mark Hutchinson, who is going to be taking P3 unless he absolutely does himself a wrong one at the bus stop chicane. No, he gets through there fine. So Hutchinson P3, Riverchuck will pick up P4 with Kearsmakers P5. Kian White will be taking on P6, although remember, contact between him and Butcher most likely to be investigated after the race. That could lead to a further grid penalty. I imagine it would be a grid penalty because he's finished 20 seconds ahead of the next man down the road, that being Jack Mayer. What a great race from him. He's been all over the place today, but lucky number 7 seems to come through once again for him. Matthew Clip, as always, a very consistent drive. To be fair, he made the wrong strategy call as well with the super early change onto the inters. He comes home P8 with Leonov. A great effort from him, P9. It's the N-Tech Chris Butcher with a recovery drive up to P10, and then behind you've got the conglomerate of lower point scorers. Bastian Paisley, I think, going to come home in P11 ahead of James Early. Very close, those two, as they'll come across the line. Paisley confirmed in P11, Early P12. Matt Richards, a late race charge to come home P13 for Drake, with Bell 14th. And Andriami Harry Soa making it a double point score for Royal Blue. Muru, Van den Eet and Vuk were your final finishers, the classified results anyway. Out of the race, full-on retirements were Poom, Shepard, Lalu Mura, Roberts, Horrell, Limburg, Quint and Gosby.
Yeah, looking at that, it's a fantastic race here today, James, with near enough everything you could ask for. The only thing I'm a little bit upset and wanted would have been Poom finish, and he had a fantastic race up until that last 20% or so, where his strategy just hurt him. He tried to push a little bit further, went onto those ultra softs, and couldn't handle it.
Yeah, it was, you would argue it was an unnecessary risk given the position he was in, and perhaps should have taken heed from the drivers around him who were sticking on those into tyres. Maybe he didn't have to change. Maybe he had to take a second stop like Bastian Paisley did. It didn't do Bastian Paisley too much harm. He finished P11 in the end. But we are just going to take a quick break whilst we head on over to Discord to hopefully conduct some interviews. We will be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, well, welcome back, guys. We're into the interview stage. I apologise. My old girl, she's like 1.5 years old at this point. Taking a little longer just to close down applications. Can you believe it? But what a great race we enjoyed there. It wasn't so much a spectacle for the lead, but the midfield. Oh, wonderful stuff on the edge of your seat moments throughout. Well, fortunately, we do have time to talk with our race winner, though. Mr. Lucas Schmitz, you sort of led from the front and never looked back, although later on in the wet parts of the race, you seem to be losing a lot of time to Matthew Williams, especially in the final few laps. Was that just you controlling the race, or were you actually running out of tyres near the end there?
Yeah, indeed. Like the last 5 laps, I was actually below the cliff on the tires. That was full push the whole rain stint, because like my car is quite a bit slower than the one from Matthew in the rain, because they have like 100% diffuser developed. So yeah, it was kind of tough then in the wet, but yeah, not sure how I kept it, because I even had a little spin in the last, I think like 10 laps or so. I'm not sure yet, but yeah. Somehow I kept it.
I was going to say then, do you think that luck was actually a little bit on your side today then? Because, of course, you had Martin Gosby crashing out quite early, and with Matthew Williams starting all the way back in P13, it seemed like everything lined up ready to support you today, even with those tough moments in the final 10 laps.
Yeah, sure, apart from the rain. Because like in the dry, my pace was really good. Like in qualifying, I could have gone quite a bit faster actually, but didn't nail the lap. And also in the race, it was looking good. But yeah, other than that, it was also lucky, I guess.
7th race win of the year. There is 4 rounds left of the championship. I keep on asking the question, you keep on giving me the same answer, but I'm going to ask you again, since we are literally less than 100 maximum amount of points being able to be taken for a championship that you are in. Your lead is pretty good. Are you feeling confident finally? Are you thinking this title is mine to lose?
Yeah, I hope so. I will probably miss another race like in Singapore because I'm on holiday there. But yeah, I mean, I have, I think, over 50 points gap at the moment. So yeah, that's more than 2 race victories. So yeah, I'm not too worried actually.
That's as I say, that's as confident as I think I've heard you all year long, and well deserved as well. Race win number 7, another pole position to add to your name. Lucas, congrats on another amazing event.
Thank you very much.
Let's see. This is how long it's been since I've done one of these broadcasts.
Yeah,
I
you joined
left
another
the
room.
room. I
Not
left
dragged
the
someone.
room instead of dragging someone else out. Hilarious. Speaking of hilarious, let's bring Mike Bell in, shall we? Mike, you had a fun time down there in the lower end of the point. You were fighting with everyone, it seemed.
That's one of the perks of being a rolling roadblock. The second the track starts to get a bit wet, is that a lot of people do come into battle with you. Yeah. Yeah, shame it ended with a car on top of me, but you know.
Well, I mean, it seemed fun at least. We were talking how you seem to thrive on these defensive challenges, but was it all pace? Did you just not have enough tyre life? And actually, from a driver's perspective in the midfield, we saw Bastian Paisler taking a second pit stop to get a fresh set of boots on. Were you hoping for the rain to die off so you could strap on a pair of Ultra Softs for the end, or were you actually quite liking where you were with your first and ultimately only set of inters?
I mean, at that point in the race, I was hoping that it would stay wet, but I am I actually had good dry pace in this round, and I reckon I could have challenged maybe top 8 if the race had stayed dry this round, because I actually got qualifying together for once. But no, the rain came down. I am really bad in the wet. I just can't understand how to drive in the wet on R Factor 2, which is a shame because I'm actually pretty good at it in a kart in real life. But no, when I saw Bastian go in, I thought, oh, he's going to be on another set of slicks, because you know we'd been keeping an eye on the pit stops, and we noticed guys like Hygo Poom gone in for slicks, you know. And when our spotter Lazarus, he said, oh, he's out on inters, I thought, okay, you know, he's probably going to catch me, but you know, it's what it is. He's still going to have to go off the line to overtake me. So I was quietly confident of holding him back, but that he drove into me. So controversial. But no, and then that cost me 11th, and then subsequently the damage let Early and Richards get by me as well. So it was a shame.
It is still points though, and ultimately, going into the final 4 rounds, there's less than 5 points, of course, pending any post-race penalties. Less than 5 points separating both yourself and your nearest title rivals, Red Arrow Racing, who had a pretty good day of it themselves. Of course, Matthew Williams picking up yet another podium. How confident are you guys feeling as a team? We know that Lucas feels that with over 50 points to the next guy back now in the Drivers' Championship, things should be good on that front. But Red Arrow are a good outfit. They're a consistent outfit with a race win potential in their blood now. Do you feel it's kind of on you now to sort of support Lucas and to bring this title home?
I've thought that since round 1. I thought, there's teams out there, and at the time we were looking at the other lineups, we were like, okay, it's going to be HRT. They're going to be the guys, because you've got Keersmakers, who's another fully fledged front runner, and then you got Paisler, who's certainly an upper midfielder, let's say, who in theory should on paper be battering me around every time. But it's something that as the season's gone on, I've really just been, and I'm going to say this, and I hate it when people say this, but I've just been so unlucky this season. Other than Baku, every single round, either I've made a driving error, or I've been hit, or I've had a technical problem, or something along those lines, all the way up until today, and then I'm running in a place that would have given me, I believe, I don't know if my maths is right on this, James, you can probably say, but that would have given me 4 more points, 3 more points, something like that, and then, contact, and I lose those points again. So it really is just, if I can get a bit of luck on my side, I reckon we should definitely be in it. But we'll have to see. It's, fate's a cruel mistress sometimes.
Sounds suspiciously like the entirety of my ITC career. Mike Bell, thank you very much for joining us, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
No problem. Have fun.
I will. And speaking of fun, we have more people to choose from. I think we'll go with Chris Butcher. Chris Butcher, of course, part of the Red Arrow outfit. A shame for you there. Contact with Kean White, but a good recovery drive to save some good points.
Yeah, annoying really. It was a bit unnecessary. He was so much faster than me, and he came from so far back. I know it will have been a mistake, but it was pretty careless, to be honest. But yeah, thankful that the rain came, and it sort of flattered me a little bit because my pace wasn't great here. But yeah, top 10. I think we only lost 1 point in the team's championship, so a pretty decent team result overall.
It's fair to say that it's not been the luckiest of years for you. I mean, we talk about a lot of luck, especially in the context of today's race with the rain going on and all of that sort of jazz. But through it all, the team has actually come away with some very good, consistent results, a race win to the team's name as well, to this point now where you are well and truly in the hunt to become the first ever Superleague Lights Constructors Champions. Looking at these final 4 rounds, these final 4 tracks, you say that Spa isn't, or at least your pace around Spa on this occasion wasn't as good as it could have been. How are we feeling about these final 4 tracks now, each with a very unique element?
I don't know. I think we should be pretty strong at Singapore. In terms of Monza, that could be quite tricky because the Cosmo will be quick there. We'll see. It's going to be pretty even towards the end of the year, so need to sort of pick my game up a little bit and make sure I can, carry on outscoring the guys, and hopefully we'll bring the team's championship home.
It's going to be an exciting run until the end, certainly from us spectators. We wish you the very best of luck, Chris.
Thanks very much.
And I feel like we do have to... Actually, you know what? I was going to bring in Laurent. I might bring in Laurent anyway. But I want to bring in Lazaros Philippakos here. So Lazaros, for those guys at home who weren't aware or didn't pick up on the earlier interview, so Lazaros is the spotter, basically the race engineer for Cosmo Seiki Japan. And I'm really curious to get the thoughts on what was running through your head when you saw a bunch of guys in the midfield, Hygo Pumni, the highest placed of them, coming into the pits near the end of the race and going on to Ultra Softs. Were you actually considering telling your guys, Lucas and Mike to come in for dry tyres yourself, or was the plan always to stick with Inters until it was absolutely necessary?
I think we took the safe option. Inters was all the way. Ultras, we knew it shouldn't work. It was too wet on the offline, so we just carried on with the Inters, safe, and keep it, and bring it home. Save points.
How much stress do you go through as a race engineer? Because obviously it's quite a different role to being out on track. I mean, you know yourself, you're still a racer and a gamepad racer at that as well, which, take it from me, I know as well, audience. The amount of work and extra effort that you've got to put into setup and into tire preservation, it's a big deal. But do you find yourself being a little bit more calm, being able to look in on the race and make judgment calls, or is there more pressure on you because you know that your advice could be the difference between taking a win and just scoring regular points, or maybe not even scoring at all?
And our work is to be calm, stay calm, give advice, help informing the drivers what the lap times are, what the others are doing, and trying to keep them calm, because the biggest stress is on the drivers, not on us.
That's very fair. I understand that as well. People like you make sure that the drivers put on great performances for us. And so thank you. And also congratulations for seeing both of your guys home, not just in points, but of course with Lucas for the win.
Yay!
Yay! I think that's a good interview to end it on. I would give Laurent time, but we are swiftly running out of time ourselves. I lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. There are 5 rounds left, not 4. And the first of those last 5 rounds, Corey, is our last European race of the year. And what a great one to end it on as well. The Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, the Italian Light Grand Prix, a circuit which honestly should probably be suiting the likes of Lucas Smith and those low downforce setup specialists very well indeed.
Yeah, but then after that, of course, where we head to Singapore, that's where Smith's probably going to find a little bit of struggle, I think, James, here.
Well, I mean, you could say the same, of course, of Japan, perhaps, as well.
Oh, yep.
The Circuit of the Americas, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, Interlagos, its more common name, all coming your way in the next 11, 12 weeks or so. So much content still for 2019 in GPVWC to provide to you. The first race of which, though, isn't from us here at the Superleague Lights. It's with the full package, the WTF1 Super League coming your way tomorrow. Is the Belgian Grand Prix. You want to tune into that. But at the same time, as we went live here today, so be sure to subscribe, give this video a like, and keep your eye out for that, as well as all sorts of GPVWC news coming your way. I'm sure we'll get GPVWC Day announcements sooner rather than later as well. Lots to look forward to. But from us here, I think it's time to wrap up. So a massive thank you to Mr. Alex Skinner, the man behind the cameras, the man on vocals as well during the first part of our broadcast. Thank you very much for filling in for me whilst technical issues plagued. Big thank you to Corey. As always, a wonderful friendo in the boxo. I have been your friendly neighbourhood James Kirk, and from all of us here, it is a very warm goodbye.
I'm James Kirk. I'm Michi Hoyer, and you're watching simnews.tv.
On the wet part of the racetrack.
To keep up to date with the latest GPVWC videos, click on the subscribe button, or check out more of our exciting sim racing action by choosing a video. For more information on the league, visit gpvwc.com.